Hello everybody, my name is Liam and welcome to another video here on Philly Sports Network. It's a little bit different today purely because it's the last video I'm going to make in 2020, and the last time I did this in 2019, the video was a lot more personal and it was about sort of my journey from January through to December, becoming self-employed and my first real year running PSN full time. And I feel like that's important, like giving you guys that transparency, because I feel that's where PSN's so different, in that you right now watching this, whether you're a first time viewer, you're a long time viewer, or you despise PSN, you're a part of what we do. Like, you are just as important to this brand as myself, as our writers, as everyone on the YouTube watch-alongs, as anyone. Like, we're building this together, whether it goes to the moon, to the stars, or somewhere in between. This is our baby, and I feel like through live streams, through podcasts, like, we try and make ourselves as available, I would say as vulnerable in a way, and as open as we can, because we want you to be on this journey with us. And to be frank, this year has been a train wreck, and the fact I'm even making this video right now with such a positive at the end it blows my mind. It really does. And some of you who are familiar with the Twitch streams will know why this year has been so bad. Others will know bits and bobs. And I just wanted to sit down and, I don't know, I suppose reflect on the year that's been. And I want to preface it by saying that, I'll get the soppy bit out of the way first, that we have somehow ended the year in the best way possible. So all of what you're about to hear, like, it's more the story, I guess, of kind of rebounding and how we've all pulled together. But, like, we have ended this year, like, this past week or two, setting new record highs at the website. New record highs in terms of views. Like, if we had another week in 2020, we would have beaten our 2019 total, which is mesmerizing. Like, it blows my mind considering where we were 6 months ago. And where we were 6 months ago was, I was in the midst of probably the lowest point of my life I'd ever been. And that's not something I'm ashamed to say anymore. And it was at one point. Like, I bottled it up massively. And I was quite open on Twitch about it to an extent, but I was still that. You kind of open up to a bar and then there's like that bit that you don't go into. But 2020 felt like, if we go back to COVID, right? Obviously COVID impacted everyone so differently. Like, and some people were affected physically, their families were affected. It was an emotional strain on everyone that was employed. Some people lost their jobs, others lost their companies, and I was very almost in both of those boats. Very almost. Because in England, you know, in the way that you guys get stimmy checks in America, the government support businesses by paying them 80% of their wage, employees 80%, unless you were self-employed for under a year, which was me, in which case I got absolutely nothing. So I was left running a sports news company with no sport happening, with our views obviously falling through the floor because no one's interested because there's no sport happening, and the advertising money, which is obviously our bread and butter, was also through the floor. So I was making a lot less than I was before. I had to stop paying my writers, and that was the most heartbreaking thing I've ever had to do, despite the fact that they'll downplay it and say that, you know, it wasn't that big a deal. To me, it was like, you know, it felt like such a step backwards after everything we'd achieved. So there was just this like element of paranoia, I think, for me, of like waking up every day not knowing if I'm going to have a company in 6 months' time, or knowing that if I have it, can I still dedicate like I am now? Am I going to need to go out and get work? And there was a point I was going to hand a resume into a local store that needed night work because that was where my body clock was at. Just to keep PSN going, because I was so scared of losing it. And it became this like obsessively depressive mindset where I would just wake up so inflamed in just anxiety, and then I would feel like I'm letting myself down, more importantly letting my team down, because how can I motivate a team of, you know, 20, 30 people if I can't even motivate myself to get out of bed? Like, if I can't even motivate myself to do the content I used to do. And with YouTube, like, I had to take a real step back on it. And I'm angry about that to this day. Because film rooms take, like, you know, 6-7 hours to watch the film, find the clips, edit them, do the voiceover, lay that, do all the edits on top. Like, it takes a while. And if they're not popping, and I'm not making money, like, I have to dedicate my time where I'm making money, because there was none of it. And that was where, like, you know, I needed a release. Like, I needed something to, I think, take my mind off it, to get out, because up until last year, PSN had been a hobby. It was always something on the side. It was something I loved to do. And then it became my job, which was a blessing. And then it became this all-consuming, like, I just was living this declining red bar for about 3 or 4 months. So I started Twitch streaming, like, quite early on in the year, and found that that was a way for me to, like, express myself, to distract myself from what was happening, to be very positive and uplifted. That was the most, I think, like, positive thing to happen this year with regards to PSN, like, finding streaming, because we've now got over 1,200 followers, and it has been the biggest blessing to just sit down, like, drink alcohol out of shoes, have a laugh, be totally open, and build a relationship with you guys. And we've built such a wholesome community. There's such a lovely group of people that are in every single night, watching every single stream, no matter what it is. And I'm so damn grateful for that, because in those days where I found it tough to get out of bed, like, you know, you guys were really the difference in keeping me going. Then one night on a stream, you know, we'd been raided by now a friend of mine, Pieface, Jack. Oh, I have absolutely inherent amounts of respect for, like, that. Without Jack, our Twitch channel wouldn't be where it is, put it that way. And we're so lucky to have been able to have him on board and just, you know, in our corner, you know, giving us support. But we've been raided. There were 2,000 people watching a stream, and my phone starts blowing up, like, big time blowing up. And I'm wondering what the hell's going on. Like, what is this? Like, it's going on and on and on, because my phone was my webcam at the time. And then I realised that basically one of our writers got into a bit of a scrap with Dallas fans who'd unearthed on his Twitter a few racial slurs from 6-7 years ago. So immediately, I'm then putting it, well, I've got 2,000 people here to entertain. I've got this going on that's like a wildfire. That was tough. Then I've got to broach it as, okay, well, now all eyes are on me to act on it and PSN. And this was at the height of all of the riots and the protests against social injustice in America. So there was a very emotional reaction, as there absolutely should be. And for the next 2 days, so my initial reaction was suspended him, and we'll talk. I want to talk to him privately, make sure his headspace is okay first, because if I was getting shit on Twitter, then I mean, he must have been, you know, he had a chance of losing a very, very professional career. And I wanted to make sure his headspace was okay. Instead of just throwing him to the curb and tossing him and flipping the bird, I wanted to make sure he was okay, and then talk about why that happened, what the motive was, what the mentality was, and what the best decision is, which was ultimately to let him go. But during the next 2 days, like, it was like I was in a third-person film where people weren't, like, atting me on Twitter, they weren't mentioning me, but all I could see when I checked my phone was, Liam should do the right thing. Oh, fuck Liam, fuck PSN. Oh, PSN are racist. PSN are this, PSN are that. I hate PSN, I hate Liam. And it was like, I was just looking through a lens at my own life. Like, I couldn't act, I wasn't mentioned. Like, people weren't talking to me, just about me. Like, and it was endless, and it was so surreal. So we get past that. That was probably the toughest thing, because obviously if I'd made a mistake with that, or I handled that badly, then I've got a team of 30 writers that are gonna walk out. Don't want anything to do with PSN anymore, don't want to be associated with a brand that sits one way or the other. And then, just as we get past that, there was a copyright issue that we'd run into with regards to a photograph, which almost resulted in legal complications. So I had that going on, and then when that was kicking off, and I spent most of my savings on settling that, we had another one come through, and that exact day, I was just like, what's the point anymore? Like, what is the point? There's nothing going on. Like, obviously the site's regressing because there's no sport, there's no adverts, there's no money, there's no audience. We've got 2 massive legal things. We've had the PR stuff with the writer recently. Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing this year? Like, every time I think I get back up and I'm back on my feet and we're going to swing again and we're going to be alright, I just get punched twice as hard. And it was just endless sprees of minor things, of little things after that, just continuously coming up. And there was a very, very dark point where that what's the point mindset went beyond PSN, essentially. And that's not something, you know, I tend to open up about to tell many people, because I don't talk about that a lot. But it was just dark, and I felt my content was slipping as a result, because obviously my heart's not in it, because I didn't know where my heart was. I just became numb to everything. Like, I was just sat there being gut punched every day. And if I'm honest, it was you guys, it was the Twitch chat, it was my writers, it was my family that just kept me sane, really, like, kept me going. And amidst all this, I had some personal stuff going on as well, where I was kind of learning my own self-worth through what other people weren't giving me, if that makes sense, and through the energy I'd be putting out and not getting in reciprocation. And it just became this like 2-month growing spree. And like I kind of came out of it, like I reckon maybe September, October, November time, like just in time for the football season, and things started picking up again. And I began, like I had to really mature through that period because I couldn't slip. Like, regardless of how I was feeling, regardless of how low I got, regardless of how bad things got, I couldn't slip. Like, I couldn't let PSN go. I couldn't let my team down. I couldn't let you guys down because it was so much bigger than just my personal situation. It was, if I balls it up, if I slip, PSN comes down with me. And I had to keep up. And like, I think having such a tight-knit family with PSN, having my writers reach out, having my family all be aware and supportive, like it helped so much. And I had to mature as a leader. And I think I look back on it now, like I know I let myself down. I dissociate a lot, which means, I'll look at things and just stare at it, get anxiety and not reply. And I've got better with that. Like, but I had to grow a lot as a leader and as a manager and guiding the ship and trying to motivate people and find the right people and motivate myself and lead by example was the biggest thing. Like there was that period when PSN was just like down here in terms of views and stuff, like I was pumping out more content than I ever had, and like it was killing me, it was breaking me day by day, but I had to, because if I went, nah, alright fine, what's the point, and I just left it, it would have been the end of it. Like, I had to keep going. Through all of that stuff that happened, through the PR stuff, through obviously the firing of the writer, through the drop in views, what I found was that the community that we have is so passionate and so strong that no matter what the situation was, good, bad, ugly, rain, shine, you'd still be there. You'd still be reading my stuff. You'd still be watching the videos. You'd still be commenting. You'd still listen to the podcast. You'd still interact on Twitter. And if not even more so, I think that when times got tougher, that you really almost, without even probably knowing it, like stepped up and supported us. And for us, I mean, that meant everything. Like, we're not corporately owned. We've not been bought out by a big company. We're not owned by Fox or SB Nation. We're an independent site. And after, I think I'm right in saying this, after Crossing Broad were brought out recently, which are massive congrats to them, like Kyle, Kevin, everyone there deserves every bit of success they get. I think we're the last remaining independent blog of our size. Like, I think we're the biggest independent one now. And that's because of you. That's because you just give everything to us, and everything you give to us, like, we want to give back tenfold. And that's why we do the live stream. I did 2 live streams last night along with like all the articles and stuff. Like, we want to be everything we can for you guys. And then as things started to go back in again, I think we worked ourselves so hard through the summer and the autumn, where when football came back, I feel personally that our quality of content was unmatched. And I know I'm a massive bias in that front because it is my website, but especially our Sixers coverage. Like, I think our Sixers coverage has been unbelievable. And David, Ricky, Zach, Sean have all done an incredible job. Ricky as well, but Ricky does everything, so he just is PSN savior at this point. They've done an incredible job. And I think that when sports started coming back, that because our consistency was there and it was continually going up, that we've had a rebound like no other. And the fact that, we're at the end of the year now, and we're at a point where if there was one more week of the year, we would have passed last year's view total. Like, if I'm honest, at that, it chokes me up, because there is no way that should be possible this year. There is no way we should be there. There is no way, in my head, that through all of the bad months and all of the really slow months and endless hours of just pain, that it's here. And we're in the best position we've ever been. Somehow, some way, in a year that has just broken me from top to bottom, PSN is at the best spot it has ever been in. And again, that's all thanks to you guys. Like, I cannot put into words how thankful I am, because it shouldn't be possible. And all it has shown is that while other sites have maybe bigger reaches, and they've got thousands and thousands and thousands of people that, you know, comment, and they're on Twitter and whatever, and they follow the clout accounts, and that's cool. You guys are here for the right reasons. You guys are here for the content, and you're here for us, and we're here for you. And we're in this together. And I think that just knowing that has spurred all of us on so much. And I couldn't be more grateful. So, it's been unreal. Like, 2020 has had some nice moments as well. Like, you know, the singer of one of my favourite bands now has PSN merchandise, which is pretty sick. But more than anything, for me, the fact, A, I'm here, and B, we're better than ever, and C, that, like, I'm different now. Like, and not in a weird way, but in a I had to grow. Like, I was forced to essentially walk over hot coals. If I didn't walk over the coals, I'd die. So it was like, they're just so, like, I don't feel breakable anymore. And that's such a weird thing to say, but it's like, I feel that I could hit a wall, hit something, hit a big challenge, and I'd be all right, and I could get through it because I've gone through it before. And it happened in my personal life. Like, there was stuff that came up later in the year, and I was like, all right, bet. Like, that's nothing. Like, that is nothing compared to the shit I've dealt with this year. I'm chill. I'm fine. And you know, then I started taking up golf, and I started going to the gym, and I started trying to better myself. And I feel that I'm coming out of 2020 a different Liam, like a battle to. I feel like I'm Gandalf the White and not Gandalf the Grey. Like, I'm still the same idiot. Like, I'm still going to make the same stupid jokes. I'm still going to give you the same silly remix songs. But I just feel so ready to attack 2021 and to make careers for people and to just give back to our writers, to you guys that have given so much to us. Because I don't think you realise how much every comment means, like how much you just watching a video or reading an article means. And this year, that was the difference. Like, you kept PSN alive. You did. You, not me. You. That was all you. You kept PSN alive, because I was spamming content for months on end, and if you guys didn't read it, it would have been a very different video that we're making in 2020. And I just wanted to say a big thank you, because all this showed me all year long is that we've got, I'd say, the most passionate community out there. And I'm so lucky to have you. We are so lucky to have you. And the fact that YouTube now isn't just like Liam's videos. You've got Brian and Chris on the podcast. You've got the Sixers watch-alongs. You've got the Flyers stuff. Like, the fact that you're getting familiar with the other people at PSN and just as kind to them as you are to me. We're incredibly lucky. So just thank you for saving PSN. Well, man, you did. Like, you saved PSN. Just thank you for everything this year. And my promises for 2021 is that we're going to the moon. Boys, I hope you brought your spacesuits. I hope you're ready to go. We are going to go to the moon. We're going to put out the best content we ever have. We're going to try new things. We're going to push the barriers that we maybe have been unable to before. And we're just going to attack. And we just got to give it everything. And we're going to full send it, because we're in a position to now. And I want to be mentioned in the same conversation as the big boys. Like, I think this year was very much, it should have been the breakout this year. What we effectively did was tear an ACL, come back a bit sooner, and have a really good end to the year. Next year is the year, I think. Like, it has to be the year. It's our third year of doing this full time. It's got to be the year. And I just can't wait to take you all on that ride. I'll be out in Philadelphia as soon as I can, hopefully to meet as many of you as I can. Thank you for continuing to stick with me, continuing to stick with PSN. I love you dearly. Have a happy new year. I hope you had a wonderful holidays. I'll see you soon.